Hi, welcome to the channel. Today's video we're looking at a Nordisk tarp. It's the Nordisk Voss 5 ultra lightweight tarp. Now this tarp is absolutely tiny. You can squeeze it down next to nothing. It only weighs 170 grams. What I do is I store the guy lines separately to stop them from getting tangled up in a separate little dry bag. So again, really compact, really small. This weighs just 92 grams including the waterproof bag. And that gives you a total weight of 263 grams for the tarp and the guy lines. And then it's just a question of adding your own pegs. In terms of tarp design, it is about as basic as you can get, just a rectangular shape. So pitching options are, fairly traditional to what you would normally have, albeit it is quite a small tarp. So this is just a traditional sort of tent, triangle shaped pitch. But one of the clever things is the guy lines do come with these aluminium hoops and a little aluminium clasp. And what they allow you to do actually is if you wanted to use this without using pegs or anything, if you're in a bit of woodland, you can actually use those to wrap around trees and clip onto themselves, or little branches and sticks, and obviously it'll wrap around the trekking pole as well. So I will link to a Nordisk video on this tarp where it will show you how it works in that way, much better than I can demonstrate in a field. But yeah, it's so tiny. The fabrics are so thin. Yeah, it's a really smart little bit of kit. In terms of specs, you've got 8 attachment points, so you've got 3 points along either side, which you can either peg into the ground or you can lift the whole tarp up and peg them off of the included guy lines. Obviously, you then got 2 additional attachment points at the top. So the whole design is eyelet free. So it's designed to use the eyelets on the guy lines to wrap around trees or sticks or trekking poles. And then these are just very simple to peg down and peg out. Now, material, as I've said before, incredibly thin. It's actually a 10D nylon material, and there's one seam running the central length of it. So like most Nordisk sort of seal nylon products, if you want it to be 100% waterproof, then you would seam seal that. But the way that it's stitched and folded, it should keep out most rain without needing to do so. But obviously it's not going to be guaranteed to be waterproof. However, this kind of tarp and the way that you traditionally use it, you perhaps wouldn't be taking it out expecting too much rain anyway. The guy lines are 2mm Dyneema, and as I said, they've got little Nordisk sliders on there. So again, if you're going for almost any of the Nordisk sort of seal nylon products, whether it's the Svalbard 1SI or the Voss Diamond Tarp, you get the same colour green material, you get the same guy lines, you get the same sliders. The only thing with this tarp is it does come with these 2 aluminium hooks, 2 aluminium rolls and a little hook, so it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of what you can do with the tarp if there are trees and other things available. Given the actual tarp only weighs 170 grams, it's actually quite spacious. There's plenty of length to the tarp, so even with this kind of design, you actually would be, your head and feet would be quite far back from the end. So if the rain was sort of sideways on, you'd be absolutely fine. And even if the rain was coming a little bit in this direction, you might be far enough underneath to be okay. Obviously, you could lower the trekking poles either end, have it a flatter shape as well if you were concerned about that. But no, actually, it's much longer than I thought it was going to be. I will put the full dimensions of the tarp on the video and perhaps in the description as well, so you can see that. But yeah, I'm actually really impressed with the length of it. Now, this is a very spacious bit of kit. It is incredibly lightweight and it is very expensive. So the RRP on the Nordisk website for this tarp, including the guy lines but no pegs, is £216. I can find that online for about 170 quid, but that is still a really, really expensive bit of kit because you're only getting a tiny little bit of material for your money and some good quality guy lines, and you're obviously getting the Nordisk carabiners and stuff, but it is expensive. I was lucky, I snapped this up for about £55 on eBay, which was an absolute steal. I don't think I would have paid 170 quid for it. I think the cheapest I've ever seen it online on sale is maybe 150 quid. That's still an awful lot of money considering you can get a Lanshan too for about 160 quid, a complete tent, including pegs and everything. Is it a practical piece of gear? Well, This is the Outdoor Research Bug Bivvy, and it fits absolutely fine inside this tarp. You've got plenty of space either side for boots, backpack, or whatever gear you might have with you. And providing the weather wasn't too bad, you'd be okay in this. But again, if the rain was coming this way, you would be in a world of trouble. So you'd have to pitch it very carefully, or perhaps find a sheltered spot. But you could get away with an ultralight summer camp just using these two bits of gear, with this just giving you a bit of extra wind protection, for example, and withstand a light shower, keep you fairly dry and safe, even if your bivvy like this is completely mesh. However, you could replace this with a more traditional bivvy or a bivvy sack over your sleeping bag, a waterproof one, and have this as a bit of extra protection. And again, you're looking at a really lightweight setup, albeit, given the normal cost of this tarp, a very expensive one. Another lightweight and compact option would be something like this, an AliExpress special. So this is 249 grams, and it is supposedly a 4-season little mini tent or mini kind of bivvy. And what's good about the Nordisk one is this does require sort of hangings. It needs a hanging point at the front and the back. So this setup does allow that. But let's have a look at its setup, because it could be a practical, very lightweight, very compact option for camping in the rain. So here's the back of the really cheap little inner thing you can get from AliExpress, and you can see it clips onto the carabiner absolutely fine. The only issue I think you get with that is obviously the water would potentially in the rain track down the line and sort of go in through the zip maybe. So that's one thing that, slightly dubious, but can't have it all. But it's a very, very lightweight setup, and again, if you weren't expecting masses of rain, this would be enough just to keep the rain off of you if it was coming in from the back. And the front is also, again, a waterproof material, but there is a chunk of mesh to allow you the ability to breathe, which is always helpful, and to cut down on the amount of condensation. But again, you'd get a bit of protection from rain coming in from this direction, albeit potential for the rain to track down here, but it should sort of drop and carry on tracking down there anyway, so it should be okay. But it's something I think I'll test, because this is such a lightweight setup, such a compact setup. You could just chuck it in your bag and not even notice it being in there. So I think it's definitely something worth experimenting with. Maybe raising this up slightly, having a bit more of a defined peak, bringing the sides in a bit, because obviously with this one you've got to unzip and then get in, but I think there's enough space in here to still be able to get in and out of this little bivvy tent. So a really interesting, really lightweight setup, because it's less, I think less than 500 grams, or certainly not too far of 500 grams. I know you've got to add in a few pegs and stuff, but I can use my Nordisk lightweight ones from the Svalbard one for that. A really, really interesting bit of kit. Hopefully I've covered all of the main details and you've had a good look around the tarp and seen roughly what it can do. Like I said, I'll link to the Nordisk video on this tarp, which shows a few more flexible ways in which it can be used. But obviously I'm interested primarily in using this as a very, very lightweight setup to protect the bivvy, and almost as an emergency shelter you can chuck in your bag wherever you're going for a hill walk or anything like that, because it is so lightweight, providing you've either got trees to hang it from or you've got your trekking poles to use it in this way. So let me know what you think of it in the comments, because obviously it's a very expensive specialist bit of kit, extremely lightweight, extremely compact, but extremely pricey for what it is. So let me know if you'd ever pay the RRP for it, and obviously let me know if you're extremely jealous. I got it for about £55, because I do appreciate it. It's probably one of my best bargains, to be honest, in terms of nearly new kit. So yeah, if you want to catch up with me in future when I'll be taking this for a camp, then do subscribe to the channel. It's completely free and easy to do so, and you will see me using this at some point, either with the Outdoor Research bug bivvy, or if it's forecasting rain, I'll use that little AliExpress inner, which is supposed to be a 4-season, because it's a bit more waterproof. And we'll see how we get on. We'll see how practical it is. We'll see how easy it is to get in and out of in terms of the inner bivvy tent and stuff. And we'll just see if we can have a comfortable night in gear that weighs next to nothing. Anyway, if you made it this far, huge thanks for watching. Do subscribe, and I'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Thank you.